Coming up on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a local business that designs workspaces for the government and Fortune 100 companies.
Plus, we'll give you a peek inside the ship repair business and some of the risks and challenges entrepreneurs face when moving to a new location. It's all right now on Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller. Welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a weekly look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact right here in Hampton Roads.
Today we begin with Doreen Fentress of Plan B Concepts. She has spent 3 decades working with the federal government and Fortune 100 companies, and she offered some great advice on navigating the world of government contracts. We are here today talking with Doreen Fentress, the president of Plan B Concepts in Virginia Beach. Doreen, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Let's start with your business and why you started it. What is Plan B Concepts?
Plan B Concepts is a project management firm, and I actually used to do this type of work many years ago when I worked with my sister. We are a project management firm that takes care of the facilities, interiors for corporations and for the federal government. We basically look at projects that are new construction or renovations or consolidations that corporations may have. And most of our clients right now are the federal government. We have specialized in very large government projects and multi-location projects, which are called center point of contact type contracts for the government and corporations.
How are you able to acquire those contracts and the process that you go through to be available for that kind of work?
Okay. I think, it's a couple of things. I said that I worked with my sister years ago, and I think working with the government, the hardest thing to get is what's called past performance. So that's what you've done in the past. And many years ago, when I worked with my sister, I did a lot of large projects in Washington, New York, really nationwide. I'm still using that past performance now and the clients that I know my reputation to go back and get work from now. I'm actually working on a bid right now for the federal government that could be up to 10 years and could be right around $1 billion. But there is difficulty in getting to that point. And what you have to do is have a lot of good partners in the beginning that trust in you, that know the type of work you do, know that you're a trusted partner or team member, and work with those people. So really to build business now, because my current business, Plan B, is only 1 year and 2 months old. So I'm just like most small businesses of going to networking and breakfasts and lunches to meet people.
Would you say for someone who is interested in this kind of work, government contracts, big commercial projects, that kind of thing, that it's beneficial to make relationships right now, partnerships with certain kind of entities to maybe get on subcontracting projects?
Absolutely.
That kind of thing?
I mean, that you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that is absolutely. Right now, even though my company, even though I've been around for a very long time and I've done a lot of big things, my company is still very young. So yeah, I'd absolutely advise that you go to companies and you subcontract. You really cannot what's called prime a contract or be the lead on a contract when the company is very young. So right now I look for people to partner with that I'm their subcontractor. Maybe you just take a very small part of a very big contract to get that past performance, and that's what's the most important. It's very important to get into the federal government to do that kind of work. Corporation-wise, I'm lucky because I am a woman-owned minority company. Diversity departments that are within a corporation look to help small companies, and so you go in and meet large corporations, get in through their diversity vendor program, and try and do small work and build your way up into doing larger work.
What would you recommend for someone else who is interested in getting those kinds of contracts with the government or large commercial ones? What resources are out there for them?
Well, I think the first thing is to go to the SBA site, Small Business Administration site with the federal government, and register yourself so you can start getting emails, and they will keep you in the loop of all their training, information. There's a lot of blogs, websites, a lot of things that you can do there. And there's a SCORE group within the Small Business Administration, and they also have specific coaches for small businesses that will help you along. The other thing is there's NTAP and PTAP, which these are groups that also are with the federal government. A lot of times it's universities that have these groups within their university grounds, that they actually will coach you on how to work with the federal government, what paperwork you have to go through, what registrations. Maybe you want to register to be a woman-owned small business like I am, or register to be an 8A. All of these different certifications, they will help you with that.
Lots of resources out there, you just have to look.
Yes.
Doreen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, it's location, location, location. We talk with Chris Lyons about the risk involved when moving into a new location with Adele Diamonds. But first, another edition of the TAN Plan.
In today's TAN plan, how to strengthen your personal brand. In today's day and age, it's so important to focus on this. And it starts with a professional headshot that represents what you look like right now in relation to the industry that you're in. It also means having a website that clearly defines who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And make sure that the message you share is consistent on all platforms. So if somebody finds you on your website and goes to your LinkedIn profile, they see the same thing. Want more media tips? You can find me at CherylTanmedia.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with the Lions, Chris and Haven, who are the owners of Adele Diamond. Thank you guys for being here. What is Adele Diamond?
Adele Diamond specializes in bridal jewelry, but we picked the name Adele because the word means noble, and we felt like the bridal jewelry and marriage is a noble thing, is a cool thing to do.
Chris, you started your business in '08, and it was a jewelry business, and it's gone through many different steps, many different evolutions, from a home office to a brick and mortar office, and now in the last kind of 8-9 months to a more established retail.
Yes.
What are some of the steps that you've gone through to start Adele Diamonds?
Well, starting out was a lot of work. Jewelry business is not easy to break into, but my wife and I had a mentor that helped us along the way. It's just really been baby steps along the way, just growing, looking for the next move, and it's really grown, really gone well.
You said something that I think is unique, that you were trying to break into an industry that's hard to break into.
Yes.
What made you guys kind of experts in that and allowed you to kind of break in and become successful?
A combination of my wife working for a jeweler and then having that family friend of many years that mentored Ashley and I to get up to speed, and then really a lot of self-education too, and just studying, doing the grind.
And so in the last year, basically, you've increased sales exponentially, and really saw something that you always hoped for but didn't expect. How did you understand that you needed to get out of your past space and into a current space that will allow you that kind of growth?
Well, I was asking around a lot and just getting advice on what the next step for the business was, and it became very clear to us that in our business, location was everything. And being in a great part of town, in a great shopping center where there was a lot of traffic was critical. Even though the expense was high, it's been well worth it.
So you were in a location that a lot of people looked at you as a destination, meaning if they didn't know about you beforehand, they wouldn't just stumble into you. Now your location is one that they can kind of just stumble into you. But you said there was a lot of money. The money difference was there. How did you start saving for that, investing into that, knowing that it was going to be significantly higher per month?
We really just spent a year at our office space planning for it, saving up for it, and just hustling to make sure that we did a little extra business where we're at, knowing that we're going to go into a good space, but we're going to have to spend some money to build it out and have a 5 times increase in rent.
And making sure that, so you have to buy 5 times more inventory, you have to build that out there, that's significant.
Yeah, there was new staff, there was new inventory definitely, and there was new processes with the growth in staff. So it was a lot that we learned by trial and error, but a lot we planned for too.
And you have a family. That's why Haven's here. Welcome to the show, Haven. Tell me about how you take the risk while having a family at the same time.
Well, I have 4 kids, and so that's one of my big motivators for the business. But it is a balance of work and life. I mean, I could work, there's enough to do 24/7. But I really work hard to make sure that my staff, I can rely on them, and I can actually clock out and be off, be other places like here, and enjoy life a little bit.
I think that's so important. So many people will talk about the grind, the hustle, but they don't spend times with their families or loved ones. And so do you, from a scheduling perspective, put 5 hours a day to spend with family, 8 hours a day, whatever it might be? How do you understand to make sure that you get at home every day? Or often?
I have my store manager schedule me just like one of the other staff, and although I'm pulling in my own hours and coming in extra, I just have him treat me like the work-life balance that the rest of the staff get. And so that works really well. It's kind of fun to have someone else control that.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like the family business is doing great. Haven, high five. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hey, what's up, Hampton Roads? We want to hear from you. So if you have questions or comments about the show, tweet us at HR Business Weekly.
All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look at the world of Hampton Roads shipbuilding, specifically the challenges in finding and hiring the right people.
We are here today with Donnie Mills, the president of Mills Marine and Ship Repair in Suffolk. Donnie, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We're looking forward to it.
Happy birthday to you, and I know you just celebrated 62 years. And I bring that up because 7 years ago is when you started this journey into entrepreneurship. Why did you decide that?
We started this journey in the Mills Marine and Ship Repair 7 years ago. We've been entrepreneurs all of our lives, my wife and I both. First into real estate and some housing, and that kind of segued into where we are today. But it took a lot of courage, but it's all about marketing and understanding market demands, and that was one of the things that drove us this way.
Talk about what your business does.
Mills Marine and Ship Repair does general ship maintenance on board Navy vessels. We do some Coast Guard work, NOAA, some Army stuff, some Army barges and those kind of things. But anything that has everything to do with general ship maintenance. We do some engineering and technical services work. We provide some warehousing and logistics. We also have a leased labor pool within our resources. And we have a commercial division as well as a federal services division. So far-reaching.
You, I know, at one point had 60 employees.
Yes.
60.
60.
And I know you're also working to find people.
Yes.
To continue to grow your company.
Yes.
You talked about demand, and the demand meaning you need to hire more people. So what are some of the challenges in hiring people in this community, in this time?
I think the first one, is finding competent people who can get a security clearance. That's been a real issue. But the other thing to that is the security piece. The other thing to that is finding people with the skill sets that's required. You just don't go on a Navy vessel or an Army vessel and start to weld from day one. You just don't go on and start to fit pipe from day one. You don't show up and become a spec writer from day one. So it's a process to get to that level. Finding people who have the experience, who's tired of a job and looking for a career, let me say that. We don't have jobs, and I tell people this all the time, but if you're looking for a family environment that has a career that you can stay with and grow and become all that you want to be, we're the place.
What would you say to somebody watching who maybe wants to follow in your footsteps and create something of their own?
Wow. Identify your market. You got to identify your market. Understand what the opportunities are in your market. Because if you're a welder, you don't want to try and be an electrician. You know, I mean, but you're going to have to focus, because we can't be everything to all people all at once. And I'll say this, one of the most important things is credit ratings, your credit. You have to have a relationship with a dependable, reliable bank, because you can't get there without them. You really can't. Not unless your pocket's a lot deeper than ours were. I'll just say it.
Right.
But you need those relationships. You need a great accountant. You need a great attorney that understands federal contracting. You do all of those things. And mainly, you need somebody to help show you the ropes of how to get there.
Right.
We just been fortunate. You know, I learned a lot at Huntington Ingalls. I learned a tremendous amount there in terms of how the work happens and how you do it. But the business side of the business, I've learned from QED Systems, our friends at Technico Corporation, and a lot of other very, very, very good people I have.
It's all about relationships.
It is. It is.
It really
It
is.
is. It really is. It really is. And if you don't have those relationships in place, it's going to be difficult.
Donnie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, we're talking about contracts, what you need to know to protect your business. It's Legal 101, and it's next. We're here with Gabe McCoy.
Good to be here.
Co-founder of Pierce McCoy, a boutique legal shop here in downtown Norfolk, and alum of Regent University's Law School. Gabe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so I just got a brand new contract with a client. Do I need paperwork?
Every time. Very simple.
Every time.
Every time.
Can I do it myself, or can I get a template from you?
So even if you don't have a written document, you have a contract. The problem is what's not in the agreement. If you have a handshake deal, chances are, most of the time, you could still sue on it if it goes bad. But that written document is really going to give you a leg up if something goes south. So you definitely need a contract in writing.
What type of things should I be looking at as a business owner with a new customer that I should make sure is in this contract?
Here's something that's more psychological. Don't be afraid to send them a written document. I understand you want to develop a rapport and a relationship with that customer, and that client's important to your business. Don't think by sending them a contract in writing that you're somehow offending them or you're starting it off on a wrong foot. I think that's a misconception that I see too often. It leads to problems.
And a contract's like a master service agreement, or?
In certain context. I mean, the contract is 75–80% the same no matter what. It's that tailored individual part that is, relating to what you're providing them, when they're paying you, how much, things like that.
I read somewhere online that a very high percentage, 70, 80, 90% of online contracts that are downloaded and used in these cases are the ones that are kind of fought against in a court of law. Right.
Right. If I think a business attorney's job is to make sure there's no ambiguities. I had a law professor, never forget, he compared it to an MMA fight where you never want to let it go to the judge. If there's holes, if there's ambiguity, there's confusion, and it goes to a judge, you might as well flip a coin half the time. It's the role of the contract is to avoid confusion. Far too often, online templates, contracts that you can pull off of Google and other various online services that are trying to use a one-size-fits-all agreement. There's going to be too many holes that aren't necessarily filled for your business.
How can I hack that as someone who doesn't have a lot of money, but I know I need the paperwork because I have a very small percentage of profit, to make sure that those holes I can limit when looking at that agreement?
Well, I think that the person who can best fill that hole is an attorney. I mean,
so maybe pay them once and then say...
Sure, we have clients come in, they say, hey, I need a contract for my customers, for my users. I need something that's flexible, that's covers 98% of the terms, and I'm willing to pay X to get it. There's a couple of online providers that do services. Selfishly do a plug for Briefcase. It's a new startup in town. I'm a part of that team. That's exciting.
Heard about it.
You heard about it. But I would still say, even with that in mind, an attorney who's a business attorney, a corporate attorney drafting that's going to do the best job.
All right, a contract's a contract, and let's just say it's perfect. but something in that contract doesn't happen. So
Right.
the person says that they're going to do work and this person's going to pay for it, and one of those things doesn't happen. So you have a contract, it doesn't matter if you're not going to do the follow-up and make sure that it's right.
Sure.
What does someone do in that case?
I think in that case, they have to have a dialogue. You have to reach out to them and say, look, here's the agreement we have. If the contract's well written, there's going to be some really large repercussions if it has to go to court. If it goes to court, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be really, more often than not, a waste of time. But I think you just need to have open dialogue. And as long as there's communication, that's kind of part of good business.
Does it matter who the lawyer is if the paperwork, even if it's great, that the lawyer in court can win anyway?
When you go to court, you never know what can happen, even with a well-drafted contract. That's why our job exists. So
like an MMA fight.
it's an
Don't go to
MMA
court.
fight. You want to go to court. You're eventually, somebody's not going to pay you. Someone's going to breach. It's a given. It's guaranteed. You want to make sure that the contract you have is set up for having the least amount of confusion, so that you know where you're going to end up. Predictability helps keep costs down.
How do lawyers learn how to be so persuasive?
They go to Regent Law and they're well trained.
Good answer. Be careful as you're putting together your business.
That's right. Do it the right way.
Do it
It'll
the right
save
way.
you money in the long run.
Okay, McCoy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Zach.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There, you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.